Hi, it's Robin. As you probably saw in my last video, I was at the Vintage Computer Festival Midwest a couple weekends ago. While I was there, I did some short interviews with several of my friends about the projects they've been working on, and that's what today's video is about. I'll provide links in the description below to these people, either here on YouTube, Twitter, their own web pages, about the projects. I'm sorry that the audio quality and camera work isn't better. This is my first time trying to do something like this live on location, with hundreds of noisy fellow nerds around, but I think it's still watchable. I've added subtitles when I thought it was overly difficult to understand what was being said. As usual, there will also be an index in this video's description, so you can jump to each of the interviews if you'd like. Alright, here we go. Hey Adrian.
Hey Robin.
So this is my friend Adrian Gonzalez, who's I've worked with for years. Way back in 2004, we did the software for the C64 DTV with Jerry Ellsworth and some other friends too, Mark Seeley and Maker Val, of Ultima 4 Gold fame. And then we worked on the Hummer together, and we worked on some Nintendo DS and Game Boy games together.
Those VeggieTales.
VeggieTales, yeah, we had a great time. So Adrian's he's an awesome programmer, but he's also a hardware developer. And you got something here for us?
Yeah, I actually,
a couple of things.
I have a couple of little projects that I've been working on.
Yeah.
This one I've been working on for the longest of times. It is a, let's call it a Super Snapshot compatible cartridge. Currently has a 2 megabyte flash and a 1 megabyte static RAM and a bigger CPLD to do, glue this all together.
That does all the logic.
Yeah, it does. I have been working on this project for quite a while. It was time to do a refresh. It was time to do an update. I do hope to make commercially eventually.
Yeah, so this is currently your prototype, but it's nearing final.
It is, yeah. One of the things I want to have on there is DMA. And you've done the videos about Turbo Macro Pro.
Yes.
We want to have Turbo Macro Pro in there with REU, functionality. Yeah. It will not be a perfect REU, but it should work pretty well.
Yeah, no, that'd be fantastic. So basically, when this cartridge is ready, you're going to be able to buy this, plug into your C64, and have what is, in my opinion, the best development environment, the best assembly language development environment available on a native C64, all in just in this one cartridge here.
Just that one cartridge.
Yeah, it'll do it all.
And we haven't even touched on this little port that's over here.
Yeah, what would you do with that port?
I don't know if you can tell from read the text. It says network port.
Yeah, network port. Yeah.
It is basically I designed a little Wi-Fi module for it, which I do not have with me at the time.
That's fine. Yeah.
But it works. It's based on the pretty common ESP8266 chip.
Right. So you can have your internet connectivity through that wireless and Ethernet? Or
well, that's the point of having it modular.
Yeah, you can be either.
Yeah, you can have either. Here it is in action.
And you got that on. And there it is, a regular.
Right now, it has the stock Super Snapshot 5 ROM. We do plan to do some bug fixes and changes and stuff like we mentioned earlier. Integrate Turbo Macro Pro into it, and
Yeah. So those buttons on the back. That's you got a freeze button there.
Freeze button right there.
Yeah, and that brings up the freeze menu.
Yep, your normal freeze menu. You can go into the monitor, do whatever, and the reset button.
Okay, so both reset and freeze.
Yep.
Yeah, cool.
Yep.
And you've got another thing you've been working on.
I do have another thing I've been working on.
So you just got an easy flash cartridge you're plugging in there.
Yep. I'll go ahead and show this on camera.
Yep.
This is, I call it Senor mouse. Go ahead. It is a PS2 to C64 and Amiga mouse adapter.
So it's got, on this side is the C64 joystick mouse port. And on this side is, can I unplug that? Or is that safe?
Yeah, go ahead.
Plug a regular PS2 mouse in there.
Yep.
And that's all the logic right there. It's a very small little board. I'm having a hard time for it. There we go. Yeah, cool.
Yep. You can have it behave as, a regular C64, like the 1351 mouse.
Yeah.
You can have it auto-detect if it's being plugged into a C64 or an Amiga. I have a little demo program here. It's a very rudimentary paint program, but It reads both Amiga and C64 mice. So right now the interface is set to C64 mode.
Okay.
So we're up here, we can draw, I'm a terrible artist, but
That's
you
okay.
get the idea.
You get the point, yeah.
So the interface is configurable with the mouse.
Yeah.
So you have to hold the middle mouse button.
Okay.
And that LED should start flashing right there.
Yeah.
Now you're in configuration mode, so you can do stuff like change the sensitivity of the interface.
Okay. So you can change the speed of the mouse pointer.
Yeah, and you can change modes. Now I can go to Amiga mode. Right there. So here we are.
Oh, well, yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. So you've got a fake little Amiga section. Yeah, I like that. So it's running on Commodore 64, but it looks like a fake, it looks like a Amiga desktop.
Like a Workbench 1.3 was it, I think?
Yes.
So now you can save your configuration. There it goes.
And the light changed green when you're done that.
And it's in Amiga mode. So now if I power it off, it saves the changes. I go back in there.
And it remembers what mode you were in.
It does. We're in Amiga mode.
So the Amigas, So that one adapter is able to be 1351 mouse for Commodore 64 or an Amiga mouse. And does it even do the 1350 mode, or you didn't bother with that?
I will implement that.
Yeah,
I forgot to mention it is firmware upgradable from the C64. I have not implemented joystick mode yet, which is 1350.
Yeah.
But I will have it on there just for completeness.
That's right. So this is still a prototype, but you hope to finish it up and it should be available.
Almost done. Pretty much.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, thanks a lot, Adrian. That's awesome work. Yeah. Hey, I got my friend Jim here.
Hey, Robin.
Hey.
Good to see you.
Good to have you on the show. So you got here, we're at Vintage Computer Festival. You got some stupid pet tricks.
Yeah, this is
what's going on here?
Project I did, and unfortunately the pet didn't survive the trip to the show very well, so it's acting up right now. We can't demo it live. But this was a project I did. I got this pet a year ago, second owner of it, and got it working. And but the really cool thing about it, it came with a bunch of documentation, including this Commodore User Club newsletter.
Yeah, awesome.
And so this is from 1979.
Wow.
And it had an article in here about how to add Atari-style joysticks to the pet. And I thought that was really cool. So I went through this project of adding sound and joysticks to the pet, and this dual joystick scenario they had, and then I went to find some game software.
Yeah.
I couldn't find any. so I ended up discovering there was yet a different paradigm that was used for this game. And so I implemented that, and that was a really fun game with sound, and it's like Galga type game. So that worked with one of the joysticks. I modified this other game that I found out was called Galaxy Invaders.
Yeah, we always call that Space Invaders, but apparently it's actually Galaxy Invaders.
Yeah, the one that Bo Zimmerman had on his website, it had a basic stub that started the program. And in there, you could see that the name was supposed to be Galaxy Invaders, but the name of the file was spaceinvader.prg. It was a memory capture, and it had a high score in there.
Yeah.
So it actually didn't write the name of the game once it had a high score. So I cleared out the high score, and I modified the program so that it works with a joystick.
Yeah.
And so now you can play that classic PET 2001 Space Invaders type game with the joystick. And then I wanted to do something with the dual joystick since I went through all the effort to do the dual joystick interface. And so the game Pong, Cursor Magazine had a really good version of Pong.
Yeah.
But of course you were supposed to play with the chiclet keyboards, which would have been horrible.
Yes.
And so I modified that to be able to operate with the two joysticks. And so now you can play a more reasonable version of Pong on the PET 2001.
If you have a working pet.
Right. Right. Which I don't right now.
Yeah.
But I'm certain I will get it fixed.
Yeah, no, that's too bad. This is how it goes with the old hardware.
So here's I kind of collected these bits and pieces for this VIC-20 setup over the years, so I wanted to finally put them all together and show them together. So, I got the PET keyboard VIC-20, which I think is cool.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It's got the big fat keys on, or the lettering is just huge from the PET.
Clanky sound, right? I love that. I picked up this old TV along the way. It's got the old tuner knobs on it. I think it's perfect to show the VIC-20 with a TV.
It's an awesome looking TV.
You put even a CRT monitor, let alone an LCD monitor, it just looks silly with a VIC-20. And then I got a 1540 drive, which is kind of rare, but somebody had modified it and put the new ROMs in it, so it worked with the
64?
C64, right?
Yeah.
So I went and I found online somebody was selling the old ROMs for a reasonable amount, so I modded it back to the original format, so it only works with the VIC-20. So I wanted to show that off too. Yes. Ironically, was playing some games that was from the group that you guys did games with.
Yeah, I just helped test that. My friend Sam Washburn coded that. That's awesome that you got that running on the machine here.
Yeah, I picked that up a couple years ago at the show and just didn't even make the connection until recently that you were involved in that.
It's got a nice 1525 back there. Number one printer for the Commodore 64 128.
Yeah, I got that in
the sticker's awesome.
Yeah, I got that in a pile of stuff for the Commodore. I didn't really even know it was in there, and it had that cool sticker. I'm like, I'm not taking that sticker.
Yeah, that's an awesome sticker. And then over here you got your VR64.
Yeah, I brought the VR64 again, of course. Came up with this idea based on a science fair project I did with my daughter. And we got the science fair project done, but the whole time I'm like, I want to do this on the C64.
Yeah.
And so, it's really just a headset that's designed to put your phone in there, but I modified it and put a 5-inch LCD in there. And it's running on a composite feed. It took me a while to find an LCD that actually works with the C64, but I'm just splicing off the monitor feed here. And then I created this one game so far, Street Defenders, and I had to do the left and right views so that everything's skewed on one side versus the other, so that when it's viewed through the goggles, it really does create a 3D effect.
Right, so we're seeing two screens at, this is both eyes. But when we look at it through the VR goggles, it's split in the middle, like the left for the left eye, the right for the right eye.
Correct.
Yeah.
The left eye sees this, the right eye sees this. You can see that this is skewed longer and shorter, and this is longer and shorter.
Yeah.
But when you look at it through the goggles, it just gives you that depth perception.
Right, like your mind connects the two images somehow, and it does this kind of 3D effect, eh?
Correct. And of course, there's the lenses in here that are part of the magic. Kind of like a viewfinder or viewmaster that creates a 3D effect. And then I added this in the last year or so.
Let's see here.
I added a Atari driving controller for the rotation.
Nice.
So this game, you stand in a street corner and you rotate around and defend against the attacking horde. And I used to have two keys for the rotation and then the function keys for the attack.
Right, it was like a keyboard game before?
Correct.
Yeah.
But it felt kind of digital. Like people would hit the keys, X amount of times to rotate a certain distance.
Yeah.
But once I got the driving controller working, it added somewhat more an analog feel to it. And you would, when you get in a attack mode and you see somebody attacking you from the left or whatever, you can overshoot the street and have to come back. So it added another little element to the game, which is kind of cool.
Because they look like a paddle, but paddles have a limited throw, right? Because they're potentiometers and
stuff. So probably when you're reading it, it'll go 0 to 255.
Yeah, that's right.
And it has a hard stop on it so that you can't rotate 360 degrees. This one does not have a hard stop.
Yeah.
And as you rotate it, it's emulating the output of a joystick, but it's really just toggling the last 2 bits of the joystick byte.
Yeah.
And it's using like a gray code technique.
I learned about gray code from you, and it's a super fascinating idea. When you look at the binary representation of a number, only 1 bit can change every step. Like normally in binary, you roll, like when you're at 3.
Attention DCF shoppers. We have 6, only quantity 6. DCF Midwest 14 t-shirts remaining.
Wow, get your t-shirts, guys. Yeah, so the gray code's really interesting there, where when you roll from, say, 3, which is 1-1 binary, to 4, which is 1-0-0, that's illegal in gray code because that would be multiple bits changing, right, at once. Like,
right. Yeah, so what they're actually doing is only changing one bit at a time when they change state.
Yeah.
And that way, if you're fluttering between two states, it's just that one bit that's fluttering back and forth. So you might interpret that you're in one state or the next. But if you were doing that in binary and 2 bits were changing and 2 bits were fluttering, you might be, it would not know where it really was at. You might code a position that's like a completely opposite direction.
Yeah.
So that's a very standard thing that they do in industrial controls and for measuring rotation or distance on a conveyor belt or something like that. Yeah. So it's kind of cool that Atari in 1977 or
they
whatever.
They were using that.
Adopted that paradigm and used it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so it's VR64, VIC-20, stupid pet tricks with the joysticks. That's awesome. And you got a YouTube channel that I'll link to below. It's are you Jim64 on there, or?
I am, and I have a few videos.
We'll send you over there. Okay, thanks a lot, Jim.
Thank you, Robin.
Okay.
Bye.
This is my friend Jim. Hey,
Hello.
Jim.
Hello. We're at BCF Midwest. We're showing off some stuff that we have in our store. So probably our 2 largest sellers right here are the Zoom floppy units. These are for the Commodore. They allow you to do either IEEE drives right there, or the Commodore 64 1541 type drives that use the smaller connection. These are hooked onto your computer through USB, and then you can archive your discs. These have been pretty big sellers.
Yeah, so that's for connecting a Commodore disk drive to a modern PC.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. So you got those discs, and you want to make sure that they're not going to end up rotting, so to speak, have bit rot or whatnot. Yeah. A lot of folks are archiving data files that they made back in the day, or just stuff they want to make sure that they keep a record of or just have a backup of, because floppy disks are kind of iffy at times. So definitely these are cool use. One of the other use cases for them is now a lot of software is distributed online. And so this is a way, it works in reverse, so that you can take an image of a disk that is online and you can put it back on an actual physical disk.
Back to the actual disk, yeah.
That's right. So if you want to play a game old school and put the actual floppy disk in, you can use one of these 2 units. This one here is for, like I said, the VIC-20, the Commodore 64, and the kind of the newer Commodore computers that primarily use this IEC cable. Yeah. But this unit right here is for the old PET style computers where it uses this bigger connector here.
Yeah, nice.
Yep, that's right. And we've got a couple other things here. We've got an expander unit right here. I'll move these off to the side. So we've got this, nothing special with that. Back in the day, a bunch of companies made expansion boards for the Commodore 64 so that you could put more than one cartridge into the back of the unit. Works also on the 128, so this is essentially a reproduction of that. Not much to say there, pretty much a standard issue unit. A lot of people, though, are using them to, and you'll see them here at the show, a lot of people have some of their favorite stuff, and you can turn individual slots on or off. So you don't have to necessarily take the cartridges out. You can just leave them in and then power them up as you need them or whatnot. Right over here, this is actually for a VIC-20. Your friend and mine, Leif Bloomquist from Canada, had been wanting a MIDI controller or capability on the VIC-20 for a number of years. I don't remember, it's probably been 4 or 5 years ago. We ended up creating this MIDI controller, MIDI interface for the VIC-20. So this is a Commodore VIC-20 system or peripheral. And it has a couple extra additional features. So it has additional RAM. The VIC-20 tends to be not very well blessed with RAM, and so that has, I believe, 128K of extra memory for the Commodore VIC-20.
So it's also a RAM expander.
Yep. And it has a place to put all your favorite software. It's got a 512K, essentially a ROM, a rewritable ROM on there, so that you can put software. So you typically, if you can have some of the best software that you want to run on the VIC-20, you can just pop that into your computer and you don't even necessarily need a hard drive. The other thing that we have here is Easy Flash for the Commodore 64. So pretty much every one of the classic computer systems has essentially what they call a multi-cart or a flash cart, and so this is no different. It is developed by an individual in Europe, and you can see there on the back the information. And so there's a couple manufacturers. We're one of the folks that manufactures it. This version is called the Easy Flash 3. It has an additional advantage over the original Easy Flash in that this has some additional capability to reproduce some very specialized cartridges that were available for the Commodore 64. And it's also larger. The original Easy Flash was 1 meg in size, and this one is 8 megabytes in size, so that means you can put 8 times the games on it as well. So it's a very nice unit for your computer if you're trying to set up a system and you want just kids to be able to play on it and you don't have to deal with floppy disks or whatnot. You can put a collection of games on the unit, program it, and then it's got a menuing system. So they turn on the computer, which is pretty easy for folks to do, and then it's just a menu. They can pick
automatically
a game.
Comes up with the
That's
menu.
right. That's right. Automatically comes up. And so then you can play a game, and when you're done, you just turn it off. You don't have to have a disk drive. It's all self-contained. So a very nice unit.
Cool stuff.
Cool.
I've got here David Murray, the 8-bit guy. So David's got his X16 computer here, Commander X16. Do you want to show us a few things on it?
Yeah. So this is it's got 80 column or 40 column mode. It's probably easier to see on the camera if I put it in 40 column mode. Right now, all it really does is runs basic. Whoops.
Oh, you got one typo there, right? Yep.
All right. Maybe you can edit all that out.
Yeah, I'll make it look good. Don't worry.
This I'm running RGB. Fortunately, come on. Colored. There it is at 2 megahertz. So it's still running at 2 megahertz because we got some issues with some of the timing on the sound chip and the LCD and some stuff. But we actually do have a prototype board now that's running at 8 megahertz, but the only one that exists is over in the Netherlands. So I don't have that one with me right now.
Does it work if you switch video modes on the fly? Like, can you hit the F4 and change them on the fly?
Yeah.
Or it's only when you're at the ready prompt that you can change it?
Oh yeah, because basically what it is the F keys are actually, they have like specific functions assigned to them. Just like the C128. And so there's just an SYS statement that that it's sending when you push F4, but it happens so fast you can't see it. But it's like, oops, I hit the wrong one. But yeah, it's typing like SYS something or another. Cool. It's a kernel call. And it switches it. That's why you have to be at the basic prompt.
And so you're toggling between 40 and 80 column mode then when you hit F4?
It does have other modes, but those are the two people are probably going to be using in basic.
I saw it went down to 20 by 15 or something like that. Huge.
And I can actually demonstrate that if I can type in I have to type in a few poke commands, but I can get it into that mode. And I can even has composite mode, which I don't have a composite monitor here to hook it up to, but I can put it into that too. If somebody brings one over, we can plug it in. If you want to see what it looks like.
Nice. Oh, that's excellent. And you got your 2 games there. Do you mind just showing?
So,
you still have a couple copies left, eh? Are these your last ones already?
Well, so right before I got on the plane to the convention this last week, I had 2 of these returned in the mail that I'd shipped months ago, and it was the address came back undeliverable. And I tried contacting the people that bought them, and they're not answering, so I just refunded them. And so I have a couple of extra copies of Planet X2, which is pretty cool because otherwise I'm completely out.
Wow.
But I already sold one this morning, so this one will probably disappear here.
So X2s for the Commodore 64, and then X3s for MS-DOS, eh? Yeah, I've actually got both of them at home now. So great looking boxes. It looks fantastic, eh? And what you're only charging, is it $30 each for them, or 40?
Yeah, 40.
That's totally reasonable. That's excellent. Well, thanks very much, David, for being on. Hey, Leif.
Hey, Robin. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. So what you got here?
This is my latest multiplayer network game for the Commodore 64.
Wow.
It's a dungeon crawler roguelike. And it's playable over the internet by Commodore 64s, also PC, Android phones, and you can even telnet into the game.
Wow.
And they're all all playing together.
Okay, so all these Commodore 64s here are all networked together. I'm just going to turn the camera, and here's, is this like a PC, like a Windows box? Or what?
It's a Windows PC. Going to a website where it's serving up a little JavaScript version of the game. And yeah, so the PC can join right in. If you don't happen to not have a Commodore 64 network card, you can just join in from your modern Windows or Mac OS computer with a browser.
Yeah, that is so cool. Okay, so these people are playing it. They're all in the same dungeon. Is that right? Like there's like a shared instance that they're in. Is this same game actually on the internet right now as well, or is this just a local?
This is a local instance, but there is a public version of the game that's playable as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. So the game itself, you're a little adventurer, I guess, wandering around.
Yeah, it's all the tropes.
All the regular things. You got like monsters and treasure
and swords and shields and magic potions and other mystery items.
Yeah, I like. And is the world procedurally generated, or is it a fixed map? Or?
It's a fixed map, but the original map was procedurally generated.
Okay, yeah. And then could each instance have its own map, or is that something a future? In the future, yeah. How big is the world? Like in
this? So in really technical terms, it's this is just a mini proof of concept.
Okay.
So it's 4 levels, 100 by 100 tiles.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And it is winnable. There is a quest to the game to discover the magic word.
Okay. Has anybody won yet?
My son and his friends once sat down and bashed through it in about 3 hours.
3 hours. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, they had a lot of fun running around and beating up the monsters and so on. The platform was irrelevant. Game was a game to them.
Is there interaction between the players? Like they can see each other in the same world. Is there any other interaction between them?
There can be. Yeah. So you can hand each other items.
Okay.
And by putting it on the ground and having
drop it.
Up,
yeah.
And it is, it's also how you choose to play. It can be player versus player. The players can attack each other.
Yeah.
Or you can choose to work collaboratively. The game is just sets up an environment, and how you carry yourself is up to you.
Nice. So that is the multiplayer roguelike by Leif Bloomquist, and there's a URL there. We'll put a link in the description.
Yeah, that would be great. And obviously the big piece now is I don't have a name for the game.
Okay.
Open to any wacky, interesting, snappy.
Yeah. So if anybody has an awesome name suggestion, do you want the best pun? Do you want, is there?
Yeah. If it's punny, if it's alliterative, all of those.
Yeah.
I'll know it when I hear it.
Yeah. That's right. That's awesome. Thanks a lot, Lee.
Welcome.
Turn it on, and what do you see?
So it's a pie booting up.
Oh, okay. Hard to see.
So this was like an old portable TV.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Pause it out.
Yeah. Enlarge the font size so it got a little bit more readable.
Yeah.
And then I have a little control here.
Yeah.
So.
You unlock this door with the key of imagination. Beyond it is another dimension.
And then,
a dimension of sound.
Look, man, no wires.
Oh, really? So you got battery packed in there now, too?
There's other stuff on here, too. So there's a Pi Zero W. There's an Adafruit Power Boost 1000C and lithium-ion battery in a holder. And of course, when you're done, you have to shut the machine down. So you just push the power button and it safely shuts down.
Nice. Well done. Yeah, good job. Thanks, Eric.